Hey, how are you? Where are the poor richer? But I mean, if you go around the world, where the poor going to have the highest standards of living? Where are they going to have the most amount of sheer income? Where are they actually going to be able to buy anything at all? Uh, I'm pretty sure that no matter where you go, the poor aren't exactly going to be comfortable. We haven't really gotten to a point yet where even if you're in the lowest 10% or 5% of society, you can still live a really good life. I think overall, poor people struggle no matter where they live, but they definitely struggle differently in different ways. And some poor people in some countries are by far and away more able to achieve their material needs than other people that are also considered poor in other countries. So let's have a look at that and let's see what you guys think. So as you guys can see, I could possibly maybe get this image a little closer. By the way, all credits to our Word and Data. This seems to be a really interesting article that they wrote here. So here, the size of the little circles of the balls, they're how big the population is. The more to the right, the richer the country is in terms of GDP per capita, and then the further up they are, then the richest the poor people are, because that's the national poverty line. So the higher the poverty line is, that means that poor people are actually making more money. It's a little separated by income. So there's low income, lower middle income, upper middle income, and then high income. And you can see that as society gets richer overall, that is, as it moves towards the right, it also tends to move upwards. So the idea that it could be possible for you to be like a very rich society overall, but with very, very poor people, it doesn't seem to hold. It does seem that as society gets richer overall, poor people do reap the benefits at least a little bit, even if not as much. You might argue it's not as much as they should, it's not enough. Those are fair arguments, but the fact is, as countries get richer, they do overall tend to have a higher quality of life for their poor people as well. And we can see countries like, I don't know, Mozambique or Ethiopia or Niger or Tanzania. They are around $1 to $2 a day. So that means that per capita, their poor people are having to really, really struggle on like 30 to $60 a month, which is insane. It's a very high level of struggle that I think most people in the Western world have a hard time even imagining. And as you move to the right, obviously, there are some countries where it's actually $5 a day per person, and then some countries are 10. You see around Russia, Turkey, Brazil, Bolivia, I believe they're around at $10 mark, which is around $300 a month per person, and that's more reasonable, especially if you consider the cost of living in those countries is very, very low. But it's definitely not enviable at all. Like there's still a significant amount of the population that's really, really struggling. Argentina, Hungary, Czechia, United Kingdom, obviously it gets gradually and gradually better. This is according to 2017 data, so we do have pretty much a 10-year gap between how those countries were and how they are now. But you can probably expect the overall line and the general positions of countries to be mostly the same. And the richest countries, Luxembourg seems to be the richest by far and away, with Switzerland, the US, and probably a few others following close by. I'm going to assume that some of the really, really small countries like Liechtenstein or Monaco might not even appear at all, which makes sense. They're a bit just too small. One interesting effect is it seems to be already in purchasing power parity. So it adjusts for costs of living in those countries, which honestly makes perfect sense. I believe Switzerland is actually the highest one, and I saw on the article it's at $36 a day. Remember, that's 2017 dollars, and also that's adjusted for power parity, so the gross amount that they receive might actually be higher. And then because the cost of living in Switzerland is really high, it gets adjusted down. But it still is the case that the poor person in Switzerland makes adjusted for cost of living around 15 times of what a poor person in Ghana or Kenya or Ethiopia is actually making. The U.S. and Luxembourg are two of the big countries that, Luxembourg isn't really big, but two of the countries with like more than, let's say, 500,000 people in population that have somewhat of a geographical significance, that are the highest. And most of the European countries, they are still above around a $20 per day mark. So yeah, where are the poor richest? You can confidently say that it's Luxembourg, Switzerland, and you could also argue the US. And European countries, some developed countries, are also not too far behind. This is overall positive data because it does indicate that as those countries on the bottom left move towards the right, they tend to move upwards as well. And hopefully, we have more and more people living significantly or fairly decent lives by the end of the century. But what do you guys think? Do you like this analysis? Do you think there's something that's missing here? I'd love to get to know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys around.